Hi, I'm Felipe and I'm here with Joseph Roquesano. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing good, thanks.
Yeah? Thanks for being the guinea pig with these interviews. So this is the first interview where, for a series now, I want to be interviewing data scientists and essentially get them to tell you a little bit about their journey and exposing some of their secrets. Joe, here's the first one, so thanks a lot for that.
No worries, I love being the guinea pig, so
Good man.
I'm interested to see where this goes.
Yeah, same here. But no, it'll be really good. So first tell me a little bit about you, about your background, and how you ended up being a data scientist.
Yeah, that's a good question, I guess. So my background is I did my bachelor's in biomedical engineering, followed by my master's of data science, and I don't know, it's pretty interesting how I ended up here. I always sort of liked different sciences and things like that. I actually originally wanted to do medicine, maybe for the right reasons, maybe for the wrong reasons. I think it might have been more so for the title. But I don't know, I hit a point where I knew I wasn't going to be doing medicine. So I thought, once that actually happened, I actually became really excited because there was like all these opportunities now. It's like, hey, I'm not doing medicine. What else could I be doing?
Yeah. A whole new world.
A whole new world, yeah.
Good.
So I ended up stumbling upon this thing called biomedical engineering, and it's like, oh, wait, you mean you can make like prosthetics and like enhance human performance and help people live longer? I'm like, yeah, this is cool. This is where I want to be, because I've always sort of wanted to be in like innovative fields where you can do really cool things. And so I did that degree, and during that degree I got like a taste of programming, and I really liked it and I wanted to do more. So and then I found out about data science. And
how was that?
How was what, sorry?
How did you find out about data science?
Actually a friend told me about it. He's like, there's these cool things, you know, like machine learning and AI, like data science is the path to that. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Not sure if that's for me, we'll see. And then I really started to get into programming, and I'm like, wow, like I really like this. I want to do more of it. I don't think I got enough of it in my engineering degree. And I kept like really getting excited by this idea of, yeah, okay, in biomedical engineering, we make prosthetics. Yeah. But I think it would be really cool if, you know, we could really integrate more intelligence into these prosthetics. Right. So I originally got into this field to come back to biomedical engineering and like start making really intelligent, say like prosthetics or components that interact with the body that are really intelligent to help people. And yeah, but that gets really hard because once you get into data science, the field is so huge and there's so many exciting things you can do. So I think one day I'll go back that way, but for now I'm just exploring this big field, which is data science. Good.
That's really good. And also towards the end of your engineering degree, you had a taste of doing some work with Raspberry Pis and going to Europe. Is that right?
Yeah, it was really good. So I initially went to Europe as an exchange semester in Sweden, where I just continued my studies there for a bit, and that was really good. And then from that point, it's funny actually, I met my girlfriend there, so
good man.
I wanted to stay in Europe longer. And I ended up finding this internship / research semester in Germany. So I actually ended up doing a semester in Germany working like in the microfluidics field. And for that, we were sort of building these network of like microfluidic controllers, these machines which can actually control how fluid flows on a chip. And so part of that was like using like Arduinos and Raspberry Pis to control like pressure, fluids, gases, and how they flow through these chips. So yeah, and that in itself was life-changing because, you know, Raspberry Pis are really cool. You can really do anything with them. So yeah, it was really good.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. And the transition from a hardware play to a more software play with the data side, how's it been? How do you find the differences?
Yeah, it's been really good. They're really different. Like, you know, the software world is a lot larger than the hardware world. Like, well, yeah, they're really different, right? And so once again, I got into the software world because of the appeal and what it can do to like the hardware world, right? So it's like software is really cool, but like that software has to run on hardware, and together they're this whole thing. So I think that you really need to know both. Like,
yes,
you always want the full picture. Like, it really sucks to only know hardware.
Yeah.
If you optimize the hardware with the software, then you really have something, because like, what is like an iPhone without its operating system, right? It's nothing. So, I think it's really good. Still learning the software side. I don't think I'll ever stop learning the software side, because it's growing faster than my mind can absorb the information.
Yeah.
But it's something I've never looked back on, and I don't think I ever will. I think I will now always focus more on the software side than the hardware side. And maybe let others handle the hardware side if I was to do some collaborations, just because I personally am more excited by the software side because of things such as machine learning and artificial intelligence and all that.
Yes.
Because that's my next thing, is I really want to get into this whole augmented reality and stuff like that. I think it's really exciting. So
that's great.
Love
that's
software.
Really good.
Yeah.
And so now you're working as a data scientist. And what is the best thing about your job? What do you like the most about being a data scientist?
It's really interesting, huh? The thing that I like most about being a data scientist, maybe it's ironic, the part that I like most is actually all the software engineering that we do inside data science. So I guess it depends on the type of data scientist that you want to be. That might excite some people, it might turn some people off. But the idea, doing software, so taking things, because it's one thing to like build your model, which may make some predictions, but it's another thing to actually build the back end, to deploy it, have a front end that people can actually interact with. So I think it's great to be exposed to all the different elements as opposed to just one specific part. So like in uni, we learn like the one specific part, which is the data science. But I find being able to work on all aspects of data science and how everything connects to data science is actually way more valuable, and I think I'm learning way more out in the force working than I am at uni. Even though I really love uni, they really give you those foundations to learn. You learn by doing, and putting them into practice in the real world is definitely the best part. So
yeah, that's really interesting. So so many questions there. So it sounds like I guess the data engineering piece you're enjoying, the data science, the front end, and being, I guess, more of a generalist and specialist. Like a lot of people, try to just go for the specialist skill. And you find that you're like going general.
I want to know everything. Like I'd rather know lots about everything, and then when I have to learn and specialize as I go, and maybe like seek help from others. So that I know how to solve a lot of problems, because I feel like if I specialize, like I'm only learning one specific sort of thing. So if you ask me something outside my specialty, I can't help you. Like I can't help myself. So if I know as much as I can, then I don't know. To me, that's more valuable. It's like if you know the foundation for everything, you have somewhere to start. But if you don't have the foundation, you have nowhere to start from. So I like to try and build that foundation in lots of different areas. And then see where that takes me, because it's like, the roots of the tree, and then from there you sort of grow how you want. So
exactly.
You leave yourself open.
Yes. No, and I think it's awesome. I personally think that it's the way to go. That I think that in business, maybe especially, people that have a variety of skills and that are generalists in the sense that they have a specialist skill and they know a lot or enough about the adjacent skills, I find that they're a lot more valuable for business. They can impact a lot more. They can make change in organizations and really drive differences in by adding value to where they are. So that's really good. That's really good, mate. And how's the job different to what you expected?
It is, actually it's very different from what I expected, especially from when I very first got into data science. Because I think when you're not in data science, and especially when you talk to someone who's not a data scientist, they just think you do lots of math every day. They probably don't even know that the programming aspect is there. And that was probably one of the turning points which actually got me to come to data scientists, is that there's a good backing of programming in there. And now being in the workplace, the biggest surprise for me is that math isn't the most important thing in the world. I think a lot of people prioritize math as the number one be all and end all, but actually, like, I feel like math can sort of only take you so far. I think it's really important. But if you don't have these foundations and you're not good at programming, I feel like, okay, cool, you can make this model on paper or you can make it in like a really basic program. But if you can't scale it out, put it in the cloud and let everyone from like all around the world have access to it, like it's not doing any good. Like,
correct.
It's probably doing good, but it could be doing better.
Yes.
You know? Much to my surprise and my delight, I like that there is there's a software focus, at least in the work that I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And as I was saying, and it's a big thing, data science is a huge field. And you know, even though I'm doing a more software sort of based job, you can be doing a very different job and still be a data scientist. You know, you could be doing more heavy math stuff. But I am delighted and surprised by the software side.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And what's involved in your work on the software side? Is it around building pipelines or front ends or?
Yeah, so it changes.
Yeah.
When I first got in, I was actually doing like some web scraping and stuff like that, mm-hmm. collecting data. And then just up until recently, I was actually involved in doing a lot of the cloud deployments. So I was helping people who built their models. I was helping them like scale, basically in like an infinite amount. So as more people request to use the model can actually create duplicates of itself. So that there's never like a bottleneck, you know. Everyone can always access it at any time, so it'll scale up, and then when people are not using it, it'll scale back down. You know?
Right.
So that was really cool, and now thanks to some work from others in the team, we now have this other platform which helps us go end to end in essentially like a day. So it's really cool. We can generate signals mm-hmm. from different companies and give you like an alert of like, hey, like, you know, the revenue of this company is going up, but the industry is going down. So hey, like this company is performing really well compared to the industry. Maybe we should send an alert, do some data visualization, see like what's like driving this company's success, mm-hmm. things like that. Yeah,
that's really good.
Yeah.
So when you say that you're able to do the end-to-end piece in a day, mm-hmm. what is covered in the end-to-end?
So I guess end-to-end in this case isn't your traditional end-to-end. End-to-end in this particular case is you have an idea or you have something that you want people to you want to signal someone. You want to tell someone about something, right? Mm-hmm. So the first thing is I want to tell someone about something, and I have all this data. So the first thing you do is we define the way our current process is set out. We define all our signals in SQL. So the first part is on the back end, we write this SQL query which collects all the data based on the signal that you want to show. Then once you have this signal that you want to show, you have to then connect it basically to the front end and everything in between. So you need to get the data in. We're currently using React, so we bring into React. We create components mm-hmm. that actually visualize the data, and we display them as tiles so that people can actually see a whole bunch of different signals as these nice little formatted tiles, and they'll have like different little graphs. And so that requires a mixture of SQL, C#, JavaScript, the React version of JavaScript, JSX, things like that, HTML, CSS. So it's a nice mix of things.
That's good. Yeah. That's really good. And how much of the work would you say is essentially like your ideas or the team's ideas being put forth to a user or a business versus having customer requests coming in and then mm-hmm.
the
team serving those?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think, and I haven't been here since the very beginning, but I'm sure at the beginning it may have started like with the team's ideas, mm-hmm. maybe. But what I can definitely see now is that although it started at some point, it's all about basically taking what is the current product, taking it to the customer, and basically getting their feedback. And then there's no sort of like boss saying you need this. It's sort of what does the customer want, and based off what the customer wants, that's what we try and build. You know, you do your best to make your product as valuable to the customers.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they're the people using the product.
Yeah, that's really good. And how early and how often would you go to a customer or user for feedback?
As soon as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think in the office they try and run on this whole lean methodology, right? So it's all about building that minimal viable product. So what is like in a business, you have like this perceived path to success where you want to go to be successful. And in my mind, that's sort of made up of two things, like facts and assumptions.
Yep.
And what you want to be doing that whole time is basically validating those assumptions. So as soon as you know like something is not a fact, you have to validate it.
Yeah.
So you build this minimum viable product, the bare bones thing that you can give to a customer to validate your ideas. And so that could happen. It could happen in theory in as little as a day, maybe, but it could be a week, it could be a month. But as soon as you have something, you should be seeking that feedback. Because if you're working on, if you're building a product around something which you haven't tested, there's an inherent risk there.
Yes.
And why take those risks when you don't need to?
Correct.
So.
And do you have any tips on how to prioritize the assumptions, which ones to tackle first, and where to draw the line between the ones that you tackle and you don't tackle at any point in time?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. That can be really based on the situation, I feel. So everything we do here is based off like the team's decision. Like actually, just before you arrived, we had a meeting and we were discussing all the feedback we had from a whole bunch of different meetings.
Nice.
And because everyone has different knowledge and they're working on different parts of the platform, we think of how easy is this to implement?
Yeah.
And like how much value is it going to provide versus the effort? So it is a bit of a balance, and I don't think there's any set rules on how to, well, in my mind, on how to do that. But it comes down to that balance of how hard is it and what's the value. And in most cases, when you're just having these meetings and discussing with others, like you think that something's really hard, and then someone in your team is just like, hey, actually, we just changed like a few lines of code and we got this. So,
awesome.
That's
really good.
No direct answer for that.
Yeah, no, but it's good. So it sounds like everyone in the team is doing technical work, and they are going to see customers as well. And then everyone gets together to discuss the feedback and possible like next steps of the work. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one thing that we do really well, is that everyone's not just in the back room doing all like the techie stuff. They go to real efforts to like get us out to the people facing, talking to customers and seeing what they want.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, we're the people building the software. So there's no Chinese whispers. There's no loss of communication when you're talking directly to the customer. So
yeah, that's right. And how have you found those sessions with the customer?
I personally haven't done one yet.
Yeah.
I think I'm the only one that hasn't done one yet. I'm up next. I have one coming really soon.
Good.
Haven't done one yet.
Oh, mate, good luck. That'll be good.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you guys are doing a lot of work on the cloud.
Yeah.
Is that right? So what cloud are you using? What products?
Yeah, so we use the Google Cloud Platform. And we use a whole range of different products depending on what we want to do. The ones that I personally interact with is Cloud SQL. I work with Kubernetes, and Kubernetes is what I was talking about before. That's what helps us scale. It manages most of our scaling. It has this idea of the elastic cloud, so it allows us to scale up when we need to, scale back, scale vertically, horizontally, all those sort of things. What other products do we use? Using like Dialogflow, it's a really interesting one. Cloud Functions.
And Dialogflow is for the speed, kind of like chatbots, isn't it?
Yeah, for like the chatbots and things like that. So they're doing some really cool things with chatbots and like natural language generation and things like that. So at the moment, I wish I was working on this one. I'm not working on this one, but at the moment you can feed in like the data and the metadata from like a chart, and the natural language generation functions that some of the other people in our team have made actually will then like summarize either one graph or a series of graphs and like feed you back the text.
Nice.
And then you can you can put that in PowerPoints, or you can actually have like a virtual bot actually say that back to you and present it really nicely. Yeah, there's some really cool things that you can do.
That's great. So then the system is essentially summarizing the information and giving you an overview and some of the details that are coming in the graphs for in a page or as you ask questions.
Yeah.
That's really great.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's really cool stuff actually.
Nice. And what do you think has helped you most in your career as a data scientist and I guess progressing through like student and then starting your career?
Yeah, there's one rule which I really try and follow, especially because when I was in high school, my grades probably weren't as good as they could have been because I lacked motivation and passion. And it's actually a bit cliched, but I'm always choosing the path in my life which I'm most passionate about.
Yeah.
Like no matter what. Like I was also, when I finished my bachelor's degree, I was also offered like a PhD and this Master of Data Science degree. And without a doubt, actually it wasn't without a doubt, it was hard because like, I was still developing this rule, and it's like, you know, there's the prestige of having a PhD.
Right? Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I'm going to be called doctor, like I got to do this. No, but at the end of the day, I knew that I would be happier doing this master's degree in data science than the PhD. So after some deliberating, I turned it down and never looked back. Like it was a really good decision because I'm fully 100% passionate about this. Yeah. And that's what allows me, I feel, to do really good work. Like some people always say like, oh, you're really smart. Like you do like biomedical engineering or data science. And I'm like, yeah. Not really, like, it doesn't make me smart, it's just because I really like it, you know? So that's why I could do well in it. Like, for example, my sister does law. Yeah. Like, oh, okay, if I'm really smart, if I go do law, I'm going to do terrible because I'm not interested in law. Yeah. Like, you know, like, smart is such a, I don't know, it's an ambiguous term, right? So it's more, I feel like if you follow your passions, then, like, that makes up for whether you're smart or not, because you're just doing what you love and it just consumes you, sort of thing. So.
That's really good. Yeah. That's really good. Yeah, that's amazing. Great role, mate. And what did you wish that you knew before you you started in this field, either before you started as a student or before you started work? What do you wish you knew?
Oh, okay. Bit of an open question. Let me think about it. What do I wish I knew? So I wish I knew how to I wish I knew how to learn. And that comes down to, I wish I knew how to find the value of the concepts I was learning at earlier stages in my life. And I'm mainly talking about like high school and things like that. Yeah. I think I was chatting to you about this in private before, let's take like math or physics or something like that. Like, when we were doing like math class and you're like learning linear regression, it was really hard for me to like find the value in that, which made it hard to learn. It's like, why are we learning this linear regression? And literally everyone in the class is always like, we'll never use that. Like this is useless. Right. Like, like who's going to use linear regression? And so, but like if I was to go back now, I could really see the value in linear regression, especially now because I'm doing data science. And I feel like if I was to go in to teach, I could like make students more enthusiastic because I could teach them the value, because I could be like, okay guys, like we're going to learn linear regression, right? So I would give it like really like valuable concepts. I'm like, did you guys know that this is like one of the like most commonly used machine learning techniques? Like it's a really powerful technique. It's really good. And so like that happens in many ways. And there's the same thing with like electronics. Electronics is fun, like when you're doing it the right way. And this is saying when you merge it with like an Arduino or a Raspberry Pi, you can literally send an on and off switch, and that can mean the difference between like, I don't know, opening a door or controlling a robotic hand. You know, one time we had to make like this prosthetic hand, and essentially for like, you know, the tendons and the limbs, you can essentially think of them like strings, like pulling anything you like. Maybe it's a spring. Right? And essentially all it is the motion to move is just turning this motor on and off. Right. And all of a sudden, if you have 5 of them, you can control a hand. Yep. 6, maybe you have some rotation, and you can do some really cool things. And so like, I think the one thing I wish I knew was how to find that value earlier.
Uh-huh.
And it's one thing I do when I'm trying to learn new things now is I'm like, you have to try and find the value in something, right? Because it's the only thing which makes it worthwhile learning.
Correct.
And it comes back to what I said before, it's what excites you.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
and it gets you excited, so it's all about that.
So is it about the possibilities of the application and what you would be able to do as a result of the knowledge? Is that what you look for?
Yeah.
Or is it, yeah?
Yeah, for me, it's primarily that. So I feel like there's, because it's all about, it comes into another point, and we could go on for ages, but it's like,
this is great.
it all comes back to reward as well, and that feels like doing those things could possibly lead to a high reward and be something valuable in the future. Mm-hmm. And so that's like one aspect of reward, and then the other one actually comes from what I recently learned from the book you gave me for Christmas.
Hey.
How to Measure Your Life, I think it was called.
Yep.
And it says that, like the success and the reward that you get in life, there's many ways to get it, but the one way that like always works and stands true and is like true reward is like accomplishing something difficult.
Yes.
So when you take on a difficult task, and then you can actually find the value in it, which gives you the motivation to go through it, you just have like this endless like positive feedback loop of like just feel good. And it really, you just become like this, like a ball rolling down a hill and you just keep gaining momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's good. It's not that straightforward. You have to make a lot of the right decisions along the way, and you don't always make the right ones.
Of course.
But yeah, it's a continuous learning cycle.
Good man. And what type of things do you do to make the right decisions?
I don't always make the right decisions,
of
but
course.
I'm getting better. In the beginning, it was just learning. You make the wrong decisions, you suffer the consequences. But now I just try and really like stop and think.
Yeah.
I talk to family and things like that, but you do get a better idea. So especially now, like when you get offered something, like maybe the other day, like for example, I was offered, there might be an opportunity where you can do your CFA, which is like a really cool financial course. Yeah. And I'm like, that's really cool. That's really appealing. And all of a sudden my brain's like, the prestige.
Yes.
I want it, right? Like it's like a really prestigious financial course. And then I just had to sit back and think about it. And I'm like, so like, here's like my path in life. And here's where this CFA is going.
Yeah.
And it's like, is this really for me? Not really. Like it would look nice, but yeah, you have to sort of stay true to your goals.
Yes.
And what you want to do. And so, yeah, I think it's just time and reflection. It's like, I don't know, I might be a bit weird, like, and my sisters always call me weird because like when I'm driving in the car or something, I don't like to listen to music. Because I just like the time to think. And music's really good because it takes your mind away from things, and that's valuable in its own mind. But all the time, maybe not.
Exactly.
So,
man, that is excellent. That is such a great tip. And like, I've found very similar. Like when I finished my undergrad, I got offered to do a PhD, turned it down. I remember working at the bank, also looked into the CFA, and I was like, so tempting. I was like, no, actually, it's not. It didn't feel like it was the best thing for me, and not the path that I wanted to go down.
But it's hard. Sometimes you get sidetracked, right?
So much. Yeah. It's so tempting to have sort of that shiny goal and the prestige. Yeah, that's a big thing for me as well. Yeah. Man, that's really interesting. That's really interesting. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, no worries.
And what would you recommend people that want to get into the field, that are curious, interested, want to see if it's for them, or want to get started? What do you recommend that they do? Where can they go? What is your recommendation?
Yeah, so if you're at the very beginning, the first thing I recommend you do, open up a GitHub page. Yeah, so you have to open up a GitHub page. Like if you don't know it, you'll know it soon enough. Like GitHub is like the new resume, especially if you're doing like computer science or something like that. So
so well put.
Yeah, you have to do it. So basically make a GitHub page and then try and find the value in things, right? So like data science is huge. Like data science can be applied to every area. So find the area which excites you, apply data science there, do a little project, put it on your GitHub page. Yeah, and if you don't know, GitHub is just somewhere where you can like host your code, and it's also like a little techie blog as well. You can post like your findings and things like that. You can put a little website on there. So, but it's just a really good way to one good place to put all your projects, and I do think that like employers look at that
a lot.
Yeah,
definitely.
Right? I remember when I was applying here, they said, "What's the link to your GitHub page?"
That's right.
So Yeah, like you should definitely have a GitHub page and then just get excited about things. Try and find the value in different areas. And if you can, like do lots of things in different areas, because you never know where you're going to end up or what you might have to do on a day-by-day basis. Like sometimes, like we get this, like we're heading on this one path in the office and all of a sudden this curveball hits us and all of a sudden we have to do something totally different that none of us have ever done before. But then you just, if you had a bit of exposure to that because you played with a bit of this and played with a bit of that, it's fine. It's like when I first got here, they're like, okay, cool, now you have to go and do HTML, CSS, JavaScript. And I feel like that would have been really difficult if I hadn't already played with that in the past.
Yeah.
Like the learning gap would have been a bit too high. But it's like, it's always good to just like play around with a bit of everything. So as I was saying before, you have that little foundation.
Yes.
And then when you go into work, you can just like work off that. Like I'm not really super specialized in anything, but I have that foundation that if I want to, I can. And it feels really empowering. And I feel like it'll empower new people too, to just have a play, find the things they like. And if they do find things that they like really quickly, before they know it, they're going to be doing so many things. And yeah, it'll be really great. And you don't have to go to uni to do that. You know, there's so much good online resources, especially in data science. So just get excited and play and put it on your GitHub page, and I think you're in a really good starting place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks so much, mate.
No
This has been awesome. So definitely the first video all done. Thanks for your help, mate.
No worries.
And
Thank you.
great to chat to you.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
Too kind. Thanks, mate.
No worries.